Hello everyone, it's Indra Bartona and welcome to the Positivity Vibe Tribe podcast. Today we are celebrating World Meditation Day and hosting with Success Minded. We dig deep in the topic of meditation and talk about the many types of meditations, plus some wonderful guests speak in the podcast. The end of this podcast, we feature a live guided meditation. So join us and sending you all love, light, and blessings. So hello everyone and a warm welcome to the Positivity Vibe Tribe show. I'm Indra Bartona, a producer in the film and television industry, TV host, and the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Originally from the Gold Coast, Australia, lived in London for several years and now based in Los Angeles. A little bit of background on the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Well, I started my YouTube channel with a positive vibe lifestyle theme, and Positivity Vibe Tribe became my personal brand very quickly. Positivity Vibe Tribe Twitter Spaces is a natural evolution to bridge the gap between all social media platforms and, most importantly, bring them to life with conversations with full engagement from all of you. Today, I'm joined by co-hosts Stephen Casciano, our NFT designer for the Positivity Vibe Tribe. He's also our behind-the-scenes team member supporting the community. Stephen is also a team expert on all things tech, including crypto, but especially AI technology. So do connect with Stephen on any of those areas. Okay, so then today, also, as always, we are hosting this show with Success Minded, where the Positivity Vibe Tribe joins forces with Success Minded's community. Our mission of supporting and growing is perfectly aligned. Success Minded, he has grown his community to over 600,000 members by writing unique content and motivating people. He's a lifelong learner, always looking to grow himself mentally, physically, and intellectually. And while he grows, he makes sure to take his community on path of growth as well. And on that note, official warm welcome, Success Minded. Let's kick this discussion off on celebration of World Meditation Day.
Yes, of course. Let's do it. Meditation is something that I've been just recently been doing since a few months now. It's something that I've alluded to doing. I mean, I've stayed away from it because, ever since childhood, meditation has its reputation for being something spiritual, something that, old people do when they reach 40s and 50s, then people start doing it. So because it has this reputation, I kind of always stayed away from it, right? I never looked into it very much, and I did not, see the value in it. But it all changed when I was introduced to this concept not many months ago via a book that I was reading. I forgot the name, but it was quite an interesting book where the author was actually talking about meditation. And being a growth-minded person myself, well, if I can call myself that, I decided to look into it. And I just gave it a try. I looked into some YouTube tutorials on meditation. Indra also popped up there by coincidence. We didn't even know each other at that time, but she also popped up, and I saw some of her videos. I saw some Buddhist meditation techniques that I followed, and I tried different sorts of meditation. And for the last few weeks, I've been in and out of meditation. But even then, the benefits that I've seen, the benefits that I've noticed in myself, I think it's worth sharing, right? I think that joy of meditation, that growth, I don't know how to describe it, this feeling of meditation, this feeling of seeing your brain grow in real time, I think that is something to be shared, that is something to be discussed about. And it's a knowledge that should not be kept hidden. It is to be distributed. So this is why this space, I think, is very important. Of course, we're honoring World Meditation Day today, which was last Monday, but we do not host Monday spaces. So this is the time this is the space right after our Monday space, because yesterday, of course, we had a special interview and we held a special space. Today, I feel we should be discussing this. We should be honoring World Meditation Day, because meditation, it has the power to change lives, I'm telling you. So interesting to hear from Indra's thoughts and other speakers' thoughts on this panel on meditation. And I hope to have a great, great, great discussion today. Back to you, Indra.
Hey, thank you so much. And really appreciate the story. Thank you for sharing with us your journey. I want to jump in and give a warm welcome to one of our other co-hosts in the PVT team. Sarah is in the house. Sarah is an accomplished business executive with a passion for animals and politics. She's an extrovert that enjoys meeting new people and participating in Twitter spaces. Hey, lovely to see you, and so wonderful that you made it to the space today.
Thank you, Indra. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Hey, while I've got you here, do you have any just opening thoughts on meditation, or are you on the journey, or are you observing, or where are you with meditation?
I have honestly never meditated before, but I'm interested in hearing about it and learning about it.
Love that. An open mind as always. Thanks so much for joining and being part of this space. So, hey everyone, it's wonderful to see you here. I will give you a little quick rundown of my journey with meditation. It started when, for many of you, you may have heard this story before, but it started when I was 5 years of age, and I learnt from my mother. And I guess between 5 and sort of 10 or 12, I really didn't know that I was meditating. I just thought it was a very early quiet time, very early in the morning at 6 a.m. with my mum, and a time that we would just sit and be in the lotus pose, and we would just sometimes just breathe, sometimes just observe. And I really didn't know anything, except my mum used to say it's our quiet time. And, initially I used to wriggle around and try to sit in lotus, and it's not necessary at all to be sitting in lotus. In fact, a lot of the time it's actually easier to be sitting in a chair where you can be grounded and feel your feet on the ground, or even in a comfortable, on a comfortable lounge, propped up with pillows, or however you like to be feeling comfortable. So that is not a thing that has to be there, the lotus position. It's just something that we did. And growing up, it was part of me just learning the process with my mum. And this has been passed on for generations and generations. So that's how I started with it. And it wasn't really until, like I mentioned, the age of 10 or 12, where suddenly I became conscious of what was happening. Maybe there were certain times or moments when I was able to feel conscious and control my breath when I was younger, but still, I was very young. So, it was a time where I would wriggle around. My mum would try to help me to focus on different types of breathing. And it was a fun time, and it was very relaxing. A lot of the time, when the fondest memories as a 5-year-old learning 6, maybe 7, is because we used to sit out on our veranda, and there was this covered area with lots of beautiful plants. And I used to remember watching the butterflies, or at other times, various different exotic bugs. If anybody's ever been to Australia, and I see my buddy Vito from Australia here, you know about the exotic insects and bugs and things that are in Australia. And so it was something that I used to just focus on and observe with my breath as a child with wonder. And that's another part of meditation as well, is observation and focusing on your breath. So there's some of my early memories that I just shared and my journey. And there's been a lot of gaps. It hasn't been continually, oh my gosh, I've been like a guru in meditation. life takes its turns, and there was quite a few years as a teenager I wasn't meditating at all. Luckily, got back into it pretty seriously from my early 20s onwards. So it's not something that, I have always done, but I have really committed since my early 20s to trying to do my best to do it. And we're humans, so we have to forgive ourselves if we can't do it every single day. But they're just some opening thoughts. And I'd love to open the discussion also to Success Minded about some of these great benefits of meditation. Love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yes, and one thing you said there about us, your journey about being in and out, missing out meditation sometimes. And I think it's something that I heard Naval Ravikant say on the Joe Rogan podcast was meditation is something that we all say we do, but we don't. I think that's taking it to the extreme, but somewhere he's true. Somewhere there's a yogi, there's a monk who's always meditating, but there's always somewhere someone who wants to meditate but doesn't meditate or hasn't even heard of meditation. But I think many people who are on a journey of meditation, they're somewhere in the middle where they meditate, but sometimes life takes over, sometimes kids take over, sometimes work takes over, but something or the other stops them from meditating. It's just like fitness, for example, going to the gym, hitting the weights. We all want to go to the gym every other day, hit the weights, do chest one day, do back one day, do legs one day. But sometimes life just takes over. The routine breaks, and sometimes the routine breaks for weeks on end. Sometimes it breaks for months. You have an important project to complete. You have to sacrifice the fitness to do, life things. And meditation is something like that. Sometimes other things take over. And it's okay. It's not about forgiving yourself. It's just about realizing that this is how it's supposed to be. We're not monks here. We're not yogis. Some of us might become yogis in the future, but currently, I don't think anyone here is a monk, is a enlightened being by any chance. I'm not. I can speak for myself. I'm not a monk. But with these limited amount of meditation that I've done, I've realized the benefits of it, and I've realized what it brings to my life. And one thing that it definitely enhances is my awareness, because at the end of the day, Indra mentioned it's all about observation. I say it's all about awareness, being aware of where you are, what is surrounding you, what sounds are in your environment, and who you are, where you are. Meditation at the end of the day is just awareness of your surroundings in the right moment. You can meditate right now. If you just be aware that you're breathing, aware that there's a fan running on the top or not. I don't know, this is somewhere here, there's a fan running here. There are 4 walls beside you. There's a floor underneath you. There's a roof above you. And you're sitting, or you're in the bed sleeping, or you're in the car. You're doing something with your hands. You're listening to Success Minded right now. You're breathing. You're moving your legs maybe, or your legs are still. Being aware of these things, that is all meditation is all about. Being just being aware. Because our brains love to focus. Our brains love to work. And with the technology that we have available with us today, it's very easy to go from one thing to focus on to the next. Go from focusing on your Facebook feed, next to your Twitter feed, next to your WhatsApp statuses, next to closing the phone and thinking about work. It's always trying to focus on something. It's always trying to find the next thing to focus on. But the meditative state is all about that in-between state where you go from one focus object to another focus object. Because the process of focusing looks like focus, then it's all about awareness of the other focus subject, then focusing on it. We have attuned our brain, we have trained our brain so good that we don't even realize the split second where we observe, where we be aware of the next focus object. We immediately jump to the next focus item. But meditation is all about elongating that observation process, elongating that awareness time, right? Because when you become aware, right, when you can elongate that time, you can choose for yourself what you want to focus on. Then nobody can, in marketing, we always talk about catching people's attention. If you meditate, nobody can just like snatch your attention out of the blue, right? You are in full control of yourself. You decide what you want to focus on. You decide where your attention is going, where your effort is going. But that is a very powerful way, I believe, to take back the control of your life. The meditation process is just being aware and increasing the duration of the awareness. Initially, when people meditate, they think that meditation is all about sitting there in a lotus position. And for people that don't know about lotus position, it's the very top picture in the nest. To your left, the button to the dot on the left, that is the lotus position. That is the yogi position, the monk position, whatever you want to call it. That is the lotus position. Most people think that meditation is just that position. No, you can meditate standing up. You can meditate walking. If you're aware that you're walking, your legs are moving, your feet are touching the pavement, that is meditation. If you're aware that people are talking around you, that is meditation. Being aware of something and holding that awareness. It's simple. Meditation is very simple, but it's not easy, because the moment you start to elongate that awareness duration, a thought pops up. And our brains are so good, as I told you, our brains are so good at focusing. Immediately, our brain starts focusing on that thought. It goes from the awareness position, awareness state, to the focus state again. That is why it's very difficult to meditate initially. Initially, people can meditate for like 3 seconds. But if you keep practicing, some people now monks can meditate for hours on end, sometimes days on end. I know Buddha, in our ancient text, it is told that Buddha, when he was looking for his path of enlightenment, I think that's what the name is. But when he was looking for the enlightenment, he went on meditating for so long, he forgot to eat. He forgot to sleep. He forgot to, forage for food, do anything. He was doing nothing. He became like a skeleton. He became like a living, well, there's no other way to describe a skeleton. In modern terms, maybe you can call him a crack addict. Now he became such a thing. But that is the extreme end of meditation. We don't need that right now. That's when I think Buddha started preaching the idea of balance, where you don't need to go to the extremes. But that's a different time. I'm just sorry. I went on a ramble there. But meditation, most of us can only meditate for a little while. But as you increase the duration of that meditation, you can then decide how you want to focus, how you want to spread your focus, how you want to distribute your focus. What do you want to focus on? That is how you take back the control of your life. So those are some of my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Indra.
Yeah, so I think let's start down at the basics of the benefits and why would anybody want to consider doing some meditation if you haven't already. These are some proven scientifically backed facts on the reasons of meditation and how it can be of great benefit to you. And many of you in the space that already meditate will already know this. But the number one reason in order to consider meditation practice in your life is to help with stress levels and manage stress in your life. Especially now with our lives being so busy and frantic, I really don't know anybody that just sits around and, and zens all day. We all have responsibilities. We all have jobs. We all have to pay the bills. And this in turn creates not just stress as in a generic format, but this is like, it creates stress, which is mentally, physically, emotionally. I mean, every single level of stress we experience nowadays. So, our cortisol levels are just, through the roof. So when you meditate, the great benefit is that you disconnect from the external world and you connect to your inner self. And that doesn't mean that you don't notice distractions or you aren't distracted, because we have so many thoughts that are running through our minds. That's part of the process and that's part of the learning, and to notice those things, to observe those things, to have awareness, whatever word you want to define it with. But that's part of the process. There's no right or wrong way, but the biggest benefit is to reduce stress, and which also leads to controlling your anxiety levels. Many people feel anxious even when they get up in the morning. And so if that's you, then, you don't have to go off and, be a yogi and practice meditation, for hours on end. You can do this in 10 minutes, and that's why a lot of the meditations, the guided meditations that I created on my YouTube channel are 10 minutes and under. And the same for the guided affirmations that can have a very similar effect. And overall, another benefit is that it promotes emotional well-being and health. As you de-stress your mind from all the busyness and you go on a little mini vacation, call it a mini vacation, even if you are frantic and your mind is racing, when you go and do a meditation, there is some relief from your busy and stressful life. So it promotes your emotional health. And then also, one of the things I really love, and, whether you call it mindfulness or awareness, is that we get to improve that muscle, right? So when we're off doing our meditation, and it is an opportunity for us to be even aware of, well, what thoughts do I have in my mind? What are the thoughts that just keep coming in? And sometimes it's a good idea to try to practice letting those just go and not giving them too much focus. So you can explore those different avenues when you're doing meditation, right? So it enhances that. Another thing is, a lot of people find that they're able to sleep a lot better at night. If you are a person that's having issues sleeping, well, doing a meditation right before bed is a really great way to fall asleep. And I know from one of our co-hosts, Stephen, that even the very first time that he tried one of my meditations, he fell asleep. So that is also a great benefit, that it's so relaxing that it can help you sleep better at night. So that's one thing. And it's also supposed to help with memory loss over time, and particularly with people that are getting older. It helps and supports memory loss. And there's different types of course, meditation that can be more relevant to that area. And because you are giving yourself some focus time, it's also, the benefit is that you're giving yourself some self-care. Okay, so, we've talked about self-care here in the tribe before. And look, this is a huge benefit, that we are actually putting 10 minutes aside and we are going to go lock ourselves in a room and enjoy that 10 minutes of, call it a mini vacation, call it recharging, all those things apply depending on what you're going through at the time. So that's a really big thing. And also, for many people that have they're not feeling well, they're having a certain level of pain in their life, from whatever, they're going through, it can also help to alleviate some of that. Now, I'm not saying do not take your pain medication, but it can certainly help and add another layer of that. There's been many studies that have been shown that it can actually decrease pain. Well, when we're relaxing the mind, body, and soul, that should be a great benefit that we are going to receive, the fact that it's going to help us feel better. And that's really the crux of our life, right? That's the aim, that we want to feel better. Apparently, meditation can also help to reduce blood pressure. So for anybody that has high blood pressure, that can definitely be a advantage. But the one of my favorite things about meditation is that I don't have to be in a special place. I can just do it. And an example of this was yesterday, I had to go to the dentist and I had to have some intensive teeth cleaning. Okay, so shoot off emojis if you're able to in the space for anybody that doesn't like going to the dentist, because that's certainly me. And so during the whole teeth cleaning process, I was actually just meditating and basically just focusing on the gratitude of this moment, and I was actually doing a little chant to myself, and I was just, breathing the best that I could in and out of my nose. At moments it might have felt like I've never had waterboarding, but it certainly felt like that. But I was focusing on just my breath the best that I could, and on I wasn't trying to escape the experience, but I was just trying to relax the best that I could. And I was thinking about just how grateful I feel that I can have this experience instead of escaping it. And just, that it was going to be better for me. And so I was just focusing on that and the breath work. And at times when, yes, it got intense with the waterboarding piece, I would just then go back, bring my awareness and my focus, all my energy on my breathing, and even ask myself the question, how am I breathing? Okay, I'm breathing gently, softly. And so that was just an exercise like that. Success Minded, over to you for your thoughts on some of the things I just shared.
Yeah, great share there, and thanks for sharing your story, especially about how you were able to bring yourself together in somewhat of a stressful situation. Waterboarding, it could be a bit stressful when you're in the water, not knowing what to do. So that just shows how this is a skill that can be developed, right? Awareness is a skill that can be developed. Nobody's born with this skill, yet there are people who have mastered this skill beyond our imagination, who can stay in that aware state for hours and hours, days and days at end. And it also shows the fact that you can actually meditate anywhere, right? That bringing the awareness together, that is what meditation is, right? At that moment, although you were waterboarding, you were meditating. And that's something that I believe many people should realize, right? Having the awareness is the control of the brain that everybody's talking about, right? If you're aware of your surroundings, if you're aware of what you're thinking, right? It just does not mean external things always. Awareness also means being aware of your thoughts, being aware of your feelings. Once you're aware, that is the total control of your brain. And with more and more people not having control of their own brain, it also gives you a sense of power over others, where you can influence others. You have control over yourself, so that you can now use that control to also gain control over other people. This is why a lot of leaders actually meditate. A lot of successful leaders, Steve Jobs comes to mind. where he was a big proponent of meditation. I think it's quite clear that his life changed ever since he went to North India in a monastery and learned about meditation and spirituality. And that is where I think the West gets this notion that meditation, spirituality, yoga, these things go together. But it's not. It's just a practice. It's just a workout for your brain. There's no other workout for your brain except for meditation. Maybe you can make a case for math, because that takes a lot of work. I've done that when I was in school, and it does take a lot of work. But other than that, there is no workout for the brain other than meditation. We're always talking about being fit, feeding your body, working out. And we're always focused on the body. Being, for men, is becoming, having big muscles, having six packs. For women, it's an ideal body. I'm not sure what the ideal body is right now, but it's always about fitness and being fit. But we're not talking about fitness of the brain. And this is where a lot of, I think, mental health issues are popping up in the world today, where we're so focused on our physical fitness, we're not even worried about our mental fitness. We're not even aware that we need to have this mental fitness. At the end of the day, as I said, meditation is a workout for the body. One thing you mentioned earlier was about anxiety. I feel like anxiety, if you think about it, is just your subconscious holding on to a fear that isn't there, right? Anxiety is something you cannot control because it's not in your conscious mind. It's somewhere sitting in your subconscious, slowly, fearing something that isn't there in the current moment. And you cannot do anything about it because you don't have control over your brain. You're not aware of what is even happening. I talked to some of my friends who have anxiety attacks, and that's something I'm lucky that I've never had, but talking to them, it does seem like they don't understand what's going on, but their brain is fearing something. That, I don't know about you, but that sounds like not having control over your own brain. And that control can only be had if you start meditating, if you start being aware, if you develop the skill of awareness. And it's a good thing you mentioned about the science-backed facts, science-backed benefits of meditation, because it's easy to dismiss it, saying that it's all spirituality, it's all woo-woo, and things like that. And it's easy to dismiss that it's only something about Buddhism and Hinduism, and it's only done on North India, and we should avoid it, and we should, it's easy for people to dismiss it like that, thinking it is something satanic, as I've seen a lot of people dismiss meditation and yoga as something satanic. But I'm telling you, yoga is just a form of exercise like you do in the gym. Meditation is just a form of exercise you do for the brain. It's just that there's no inherent spirituality related to it. Some people, they might discover something based on their beliefs and their ideas. That's their thing. That's their personal thing. But this is just an act, just something you do. So if you haven't started meditating, I highly recommend that you just start looking into it. I'm not saying just start meditating right away if you don't believe in it. I'm just saying, just explore this idea. Have this open mind. See what people have been saying about meditation for, at this point, thousands of years. Many great people have had history of meditating. Many great people do meditate right now. It does not guarantee success, but I guarantee you it increases the chances of success, because then you're aware, you're in full control of yourself. Nobody can tussle with you, nobody can play with you there. Right? You are in control of yourself. That is very important in today's society, where everybody is trying to control you. The media is trying to control you. The government is after you, trying to control you. The Well, every successful company you think about, they're trying to control you with their narratives. Facebook is pushing their narrative on you. Instagram is pushing theirs. It's all about control. The more control these businesses have over you, the more of their products you're gonna buy. So if you have that control, nobody can tussle with you. Nobody can push you around. You can think for yourself. This is an idea I push around a lot. Thinking for yourself. I know it's a bit controversial. Nobody wants to nowadays. But if you want to think for yourself, meditation is the first step to do so. And it's almost 80% of the journey there. So those are some of my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Indra.
Wow, Success Minded, just so many great gems that you just shared with us. And it really got me thinking about when you're talking about how meditation has been around for thousands of years. And then I was thinking, there are so many different, whether you're spiritual, whether you have a religion, but even like just regular religions. I mean, think about it. Our roots from Hinduism, it's everything I've read that it actually originates from Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, so many different types of religions or followings or belief systems, however you want to term it, they have been practicing this. So it just really kind of made me think, wow, this has really been around. And, even, if you pray or talk to a higher power source than yourself, that is also a form of meditation. Many people believe that even prayer is a moment in meditation because they're focusing all of their energy, they're focusing their awareness, their consciousness is all moving in one direction. So even when you think about it, it's actually a really incredible concept. And, that's why I encourage everybody to do it. And look, there are so many different types of meditations. I mean, you can basically sit and just breathe. And that can be a form of meditation, focusing, putting all your awareness, your observation, however you want to term it, on your breath and how it all flows. And a lot of my meditations my guided meditations on YouTube, I actually give you the how to do that. And particularly even that runs for the affirmations, because I believe in order to receive your affirmations and to affirm them, you should be prepared. You should prepare your body and your mind and your spirit and everything. So breathing is a way to engage the senses. It's a way to focus. And while we're at this point, hey, I want to invite anybody that would like to come up and share their thoughts on meditation with us here in the tribe. You're so welcome. You can ask questions. You can share your meditation experience. We're here, and if we can, like as Success Minded mentioned, we're not yogis or gurus on this topic, but we really believe that it can be of benefit. So we would encourage you to do it, on that basis. But really, there's so many different types of meditations. And also in that, in the thread that that's posted up in the Nest, and it's also on my timeline, I've just listed some of the main ones, the Zen meditation, where you sit upright. And again, you don't have to be in lotus. You could be sitting upright in a chair and making sure that your spine is straight and focusing on, the breath work and your breathing and just sitting in peace. And you can even do that. There's different forms of even sitting in the Zen kind of mode of meditation. You can open your eyes and you can stare at a candle or at a plant or at something and bring your focus to something. or you can close your eyes, and have more of an inner world experience. There's guided meditations, which is the ones with the music and the words, and that's what's on my YouTube channel. Yoga is also a form of meditation. Now, my husband and I do yoga together, and it is, it doesn't have to be a marathon. Like, there's only 24 hours in the day. But for so many people, and again, that's something that I picked up from my mum growing up, was yoga again. At 5, obviously, I was a lot more flexible in some ways, but kind of slippery, like the little limbs and things would just kind of not hold, like there's just not the muscle that you have when you're younger. But doing even a 5 or 10 minute yoga stretch can be very relaxing, and you can attach breath work to that, focus on your breathing. And what happens is you get so in the zone that you don't even realize what's going on in the world. You just get lost in the movement, trying to focus on the movement and the different poses and your breath alone. So that, a lot of people, I'm throwing yoga in there because it almost is meditative. There's a form of chakra meditations, and that's where, all of our energy centers in our body, we work through, and we do this to open them, to clear them. We get various stress blockages in our bodies, and some of us are more prone to be blocked in certain areas of our body. There is the chakra meditation on my YouTube channel is the longest meditation. It is actually the only 20-minute one. All the rest are 10 minutes and under, because there's so many different energy centers to work through in your body that you really do need the 20 minutes. But you don't have to do that all the time, just now and again for a treat. Mindfulness is another form, and these are all listed in the thread that's up in the nest and on my profile. It's where basically we just be. We are aware of the present moment. And for some people that have said, oh, look, I just can't, I don't know how to start with this mindfulness thing. I'm just all over, my mind is always racing. And I said, okay, well, why don't you try a mindfulness exercise with your favorite piece of fruit? And all that means is that you're going to take a piece of fruit, for example, say an orange or something, and you cut the orange and you focus on this whole experience. You don't become distracted. You're cutting the orange, you're looking, you're observing it, you're almost bringing your senses into it, smelling how sweet the orange is, and you're having a full body experience, and then you taste it. And you just focus on that, eating that orange for about 5 minutes or 2 minutes, depending on how hungry you are. And that is almost a form of, it's a meditative experience. If you can just be present and not, be kind of allowing your mind to race to other places. Now, it's going to happen automatically, but you just keep bringing yourself back to, I'm eating this orange. Wow, this is a beautiful orange. Just the color is incredible. The taste is delicious. It's so fresh. And, just you keep bringing yourself back to that. Or mindfulness is simply, that's a mindfulness exercise. But we can be mindful by just sitting and allowing our thoughts and not judging them, because we are constantly, sitting here judging ourselves, and our thoughts. Oh, I should have said this, or I should have done that. And to stop all of that and just sit, or just allow the negative thought to pass. It will pass, and then reframe and maybe choose a more positive one. Another example, and I'm just mainly talking about the popular, the main ones. There's so many other types of meditations, chanting, choosing even the word Om to just sit and resonate on and breathe. And you don't have to say it. You can actually, like verbally, you can say it in your head as well. So they're just some thoughts that I just kind of built on Success Minded. Back over to you, and maybe let's see if there's anybody that wants to come up and join us in the conversation.
You mentioned the word Om, and it's something that my parents told me really early on. And I think the word Om has more to do with the physical aspect of it, because no, there's a certain way to say it, right? It's and you elongate it, right? It's very hard to describe, where you start very high and you just continue this vibration. I think the word Om has more to do with that vibration and what it does to your psyche as a whole. Then I think it's to do with the mental aspect of it. I think it's the physical vibration that actually changes something in the brain. What do you think, Indra? Have you heard about this anywhere?
Yes. So I was just kind of throwing it out as an example. But even if you say Om and you get the vibration of your lips, that's what I think you're talking about. Like it is a sensory, your whole body, spiritual, mind, everything. There's certain reasons why you say it in that way and you repeat it. And many, the monks, do this, right? And they sit and they hold their hands in certain mudras. And mudras is different hand positions that connect to certain things, right? So when I'm doing yoga, there's certain hand positions that I do, and I touch the different fingers, and they have different meanings, and they have different, so they're supposed to have different experiences for you. So all those things, but I totally agree that it is also that one of the meanings is, I thought it was a parental thing in Hindi, like also it's your father and your mother, and it's kind of like the Om symbol. I grew up with the Om symbol around my home growing up, influenced 50% by, I guess, Christian and also by the Hindu beliefs. And Om is a very sacred thing. And it's in a lot of literature around our house. But it's also something that many people that meditate, they use this, as in it's a mantra that is very, very powerful. And I always think it's about, my understanding of Om was something about, it's something that it can become in the future. So, or it will be. So the sacred mantra is from the origins of Sanskrit, and it's a vibration. You're correct, Success Minded, in the meaning of it, that it has that vibration. And particularly if anybody's in this space, you could just sit there and feel the vibration of Om and holding that, and how it vibrates your lips. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it has a vibration. And so even think about that, when your lips are together and you feel that vibration and you hold the note, there is supposed to be vibration, the benefits to having that vibration of the Om. But I don't want to go too deeply into it today, but that's kind of just the gist of it, that you can involve not just the Om, but other sounds also into your meditation practice.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that, right? Because I've never actually formally looked into it, because I missed the chance, I missed the chance to pursue yoga. My parents, they went to a yoga institute, when I was really young, so I did not understand what the hell was going on. They learned a little bit about meditation, although they don't really know about its benefits too much, right? It was mostly taught yoga and as a physical exercise, and they used to go very early in the morning. They would learn there, come back, practice a little bit at home, and when they were practicing, I would practice, before I go to school. And yeah, it was like fine physical exercise. And for people that don't know, yoga has this actually, it's like calisthenics, right? What in the fitness community they call calisthenics, which basically means working out with just your body weight. So yoga has its own versions of push-ups, pull-ups, squats, everything. Like this there, because there's only so many movements you can do with the body. Right? What developed as calisthenics, it was just maybe some sort of yoga that was taken from India thousands of years ago, then developed into this calisthenics thing that is practiced in all of the world currently. Actually, squats, push-ups, everyone does them, right? So, I missed this chance because in my school there was a yoga teacher, and we could take up yoga. We could take up yoga as a optional subject. It was not compulsory that everybody has to do yoga. Once there was, and there were like 100 students in a class, and there was no class to fit the students. Everybody wanted to do yoga, so it became something optional. So I say I missed the chance because our teacher was actually 2-time yoga samrat. The word samrat means emperor in Sanskrit, Hindi, these languages. Yoga samrat basically means yoga world champion, 2-time world champion. He was there teaching in our school, and he's still there teaching in school. But I missed the chance because so many of our friends did yoga and they won awards and medals for the school. And now I see them not, failing as some of my other friends are. I was still, there's a lot of time to go, but they're doing pretty well. The people who did yoga, they're doing pretty well, even this early on in their life. For people that don't know, I'm 22, and it's where most careers, most ventures, most job careers, everything starts. And even now, I see them. Sometimes I meet them in the street, and they're doing pretty well compared to my other friends who were, playing other sports with me. I'm not downplaying any other sports, or any other physical exercise, but it's just something I noticed. Maybe it's coincidence. I don't know, but I sometimes look back at it and think maybe in terms of taking special coaching for cricket, I should have took the coaching for yoga. Who knows? My life would have been different. But anyways, we're still here. We're still doing fine. Just something that popped up at the top of my head. You're right about how the benefits of yoga and the benefits of meditation. And one thing you mentioned earlier was the fact that you, during meditation, you don't judge yourself, right? And that is something I've been doing my whole life. I grew up in a very competitive society where everybody, it's a dog eat dog world, right? As much as we don't want it to happen to our society, it is what it is. It's a dog eat dog world. Everybody's trying to cut down on each other. Everybody's trying to push each other down. And in this competitive world, you yourself are your worst enemy sometimes, where you listen to what other people are saying to you, and you start downplaying yourself. You start judging yourself. When you're judging other people, you're also judging yourself. And through this practice of meditation, I realized that I have stopped judging myself, at least decreased judging myself, if not completely stopped it. Like earlier, as I said, I used to judge myself so much. I did something bad, and I would it became worse in my head because I kept thinking about it. And I kept scolding myself about it, the whole day. One bad thing, one bad move, and I'd be at it, just downplaying myself, just being harsh on myself every day, for the next 3 days. And it was not until I started meditating that in meditation, when teachers are teaching, basically and in YouTube videos, they always say, don't judge yourself, don't judge yourself, don't judge yourself. And if you come from a background like mine, where you're constantly judging yourself, it takes a lot of time to actually understand what those words mean. And if you've come from a similar background, I think you know what that is, right? It's very hard to not judge yourself, right? It doesn't seem harmful in the moment, the act of judging, but it does take some toll on you. And it took me a long time to get to a point where I stopped judging myself, right? To at least decrease judging myself. And it was enlightening. I'm telling you. And I think it's evident in even the content in the conversations that I have these days. I'm less judgmental on myself. In the very early spaces that I did, I was trying to improve every single bit. I was being harsh on every single bit. And I talked to Indra about this, right? And I had a very bad microphone, right? And I would listen to the recordings to the space, and I would think that it was me who was speaking, wrong, and I was missing words. Well, the microphone was actually not recording sometimes, and it was missing some syllables, it was missing some vowels, it was picking up my tone incorrectly. It made me sound very monotone, and all kinds of bad things regarding audio. And it was me being hard on myself, thinking that it was me who was to blame here. I did not understand enough about audio to really understand it was the microphone. I recently upgraded to a much expensive microphone for spaces especially, and the difference is night and day. Where it's picking up every single syllable that I'm speaking, it's picking up every single tone, everything is picking up. And now I know, it was not me speaking wrongly. It was not me who had speech problems, right? I started to believe I had speech problems. I was being so judgmental. It wasn't me. It was just a microphone that was a piece of shit. So sometimes, we judge ourselves so much, and we push ourselves so badly that it actually starts to harm us. It was a big wake up call for me. And it was, if I didn't have meditated, I wouldn't have even had that thought that it was the microphone that I needed to replace. And maybe I would still be using that microphone and cussing myself to this day. So just a small example. This is a small thing where I can see clear benefits of meditation and what the concepts I've learned from it that have impacted my life in a way, right? I'm not saying that my speech has improved drastically or, anything that I'm saying in the spaces has, improved drastically. I'm still the same. I still talk the same, but, just that perception now, having the perception now that I don't have speech problems. I think that is changing the way I speak in spaces even. So just some thoughts on the top of my head. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Indra. And if somebody wants to come up, this is the right time to do so. I see some requests, and we might pull you up. Back to Indra.
Hey, I want to give a shout out in the space to some of our dear friends that are here. A lot of our regulars are here in the space. Of course, Julie, who requested this topic today. Also, Simran. Hey, shout out to Vito. Thank you, Masculine Mind, for joining us and supporting the space. And Roseanne was here. She was going to speak. She must have technical issues. Hope you'll come back. Of course, Stephen, Professor Thuli, thank you so much for joining the space. And I'm just going to do a quick shout out from the bottom, and forgive me if I miss you because the circles are moving. So shout out to Ray, Justin, Ashwanda, Jabs. Hey, we have Sharanjit here. We have Omar, Jose, Bashir, Yaz. The Frequency. We have Migaba. We have Sweet. We have Dron Javier. I think that would have been Javier, excuse me. Kathy, Hey, hello to G. Okopara, All Things Spiritual, Oakwemba, Bright, Aurora, Pablo. Shout out to all you guys and more. We have Bad Saint, Cheese, Mon 3, thanks to the King of Rio. 0.5, we have TK is in the house, Martin, Kryptonite, of course, Simran, and the rest of the crew here. Thank you all so much for joining us. And let's hope we can get Roseanne back up as a speaker. Thank you so much for joining the space, Roseanne. We look forward to hearing your thoughts. So much that you just said really resonated with me, Success Minded, about our thoughts and how we judge ourselves. And there's so much power in what you were saying. We really just overlook this thing of the harshness to ourselves. And during meditation, it's absolutely fine to notice these thoughts, to even sometimes be annoyed at yourself for being distracted by these thoughts. And they just kind of arrive into your mind out of nowhere. You know, they're just there in the subconscious, deep, and they just kind of float out. And the thing is, it's absolutely okay. And after years and years of meditating, as you know, even from a very early age, I still have those moments where, because there's something happening in my life, there's some event where I'm very distracted. And other times, I'm able to just breathe through it and move my consciousness away from just whatever that issue is. So it's never going to be the same. No two meditations will be the same. It's not even worthwhile to measure. Oh, well, last time I had this great experience and then this time it was really bad. I was so full of distractions. Because we are the human condition, everybody. Every single time, just all I can say is that I constantly forgive myself for those thoughts, for having thoughts, for even being too harsh on myself. We really have to give ourselves a little bit more kindness and patience. And again, the focus, we had a whole space on this, and we've talked about externally going out of our way, trying to be kind to everybody else. But sometimes we are overlooking the fact that we need to give that kindness to ourselves. And that should be where the focus should be, to ourselves, and just let that go. Okay, we just judged ourselves during a meditation right there. And we can do multiple things with our minds all at once. It all happens in an instant. But you just let that go and you move on to the next moment in the meditation. And usually it's because you're going through some sort of issue, challenge, or struggle, that when you are trying to meditate, you're having all those rushing thoughts, like even more than usual. There's this influx of heaviness. And actually, that is the time you need to meditate the most, because that is the stressful moments. And to give yourself that kindness to just endure. And what I suggest is, particularly for many people that have busy lives and challenges, and we're all going through something, that's where, when you do a guided meditation, you can take a lot of pressure off yourself, because you're just going to relax to the music and you're going to go along with the guided words and the suggestions, and you're just going to trust the process. Okay, so you're going to trust the process, and it's pretty much like, okay, when you're watching a movie, you are just immersed in the experience. You know, you're on the roller coaster ride, or you jump at the thrill of something that piques your interest in the horror movie, or whatever the thing is, right? So take that same adventure and put yourself into the meditation for all it is. Say, I'm going to go with this. And affirm that at the beginning. Close your eyes for just a moment before you even hit the play the music or play the guided affirmation, and just say, I'm going to go with this. I affirm I am going to experience this just like I would watching Netflix or a movie. I know that sounds kind of silly, right? But just trust me. At first, it's just words, but after you've been doing that, maybe it's just 3 or 4 times a week. Maybe you affirm to do this. Maybe you commit to do this every night or every morning. But whatever you do, if you just commit to it, after a while, it just starts to happen. And again, there's going to be variations on the intensity of each meditation, but just trust the process. Okay, so I'm success-minded. I'd love your comments, and then we can go to Roseanne.
Yeah, I don't think I have much to add here. I would love to hear what Roseanne has to say.
Hey everyone. Hey Indra. Hey Success Minded Stephen. I'm happy to be here on World Meditation Day with you guys. I had some technical issues before and I came in late, but I love the topic and I love what you guys were speaking about, and especially about judging yourself too harshly during meditation. And I definitely used to, when I first started meditating, I used to beat myself up over it, and I overthought it way too much. I was always an overthinker, and I had started with just trying to breathe, and it wasn't working for me. So I did. I downloaded the Calm app, and I started with 3 minutes and gradually increased. And then I was able to do it with any kind of guidance. And there are some times that, of course, I still get those thoughts in my head, and there are times where those thoughts can just kind of float away. And then there's other times that the thoughts are just like staring at me in the face, they're just not going away. And those are the times where I need to say, like, okay, there's something going on. There's something that I need to kind of give more to and reflect on. And I just let things guide me, and there's no right or wrong way. But I love the space, and I love what you guys are saying, and don't beat yourself up over it. Just take the steps. That's the main thing, is getting started, and it changes your life.
Thanks so much, Roseanne, for sharing your experience. And can I just ask you, how long have you been meditating, Roseanne?
I've been meditating, I would say, for over 10 years now. I've been meditating. And in the beginning, I wasn't really quite sure what to expect, because you hear about transcendence and everything. And I thought that it was going to be like this crazy experience that I was going to have. And when I sat down and did it, I'm like, I'm really not sure what is supposed to happen right now. I'm still thinking, I'm still having thoughts. And I just needed that extra bit of guidance. And that's okay. It's okay to start small. And it's okay to start with 3 minutes. And just as long as you make that time for yourself, that's the most important thing. And you'll find a lot of answers along the way.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Roseanne, because, you're a very experienced meditator at this point, 10 years doing that. So what the wonderful things that you're sharing is that even though you've been meditating for a long time now, there's still these moments where, your mind is rushing, where it's not the perfect meditation, that you would think. And that's the important part, that we allow ourselves to still do the meditation, even though it's certainly nowhere near perfect. It's not, oh, I'm just such a yogi and I'm a guru and I'm sitting here and I'm levitating and everything is just peaches and roses. Because the reality is that it never will be in this life. And even, it's a very Buddha thing, but we as humans are on this earth, and part of just our experience is going through the suffering and the struggle. So there's always going to be that suffering and struggle. And meditation is the time that we can invest in ourselves. And as another great point that you just also mentioned, Roseanne, was to give yourself that time that you realize that this is valuable. And so it really is an investment in ourselves. Meditation is it, and again, it doesn't, I loved how you also said that you can start with just a couple of minutes and build. It doesn't have to be, okay, I'm just going to meditate all day, and just sit here in lotus pose and that's going to be my life. It's not a matter of that. It's just choosing a time to commit to yourself and invest in yourself. And it's one of really, I almost think it's like one of the top self-care things that we could do is to invest in ourselves in this meditation practice. Something else I want to throw in the mix, because also I know a lot of people, and I've coached some people privately on meditation, and particularly if they're very, very active and if they've had a lot of intense stress, right? Something that you can also do is take your meditation to somewhere where you feel comfortable. And in some cases, it might just be outside in your backyard, in your garden. And you can either sit in that place, or you can also walk. And it's sort of like what I describe as a walking meditation. So you could play some relaxing music, and nothing that has words. It's got to be very relaxing, like just even classical music could do it. Even better if you go with an ambient sort of bass music. But you can almost walk around slowly and bring awareness to your breath and just notice the plants around you. Now, you could do this walking around your neighborhood, in your backyard, as a walking meditation, going on a hike, walking around the beach. Obviously, the beach can get a little bit noisy, but, pick your times. But this is something else that you can do. And it's one of my favorite things to do is a walking meditation when, as you mentioned, Roseanne, the mind is racing. And it's almost as if, wow, I just cannot escape these thoughts. And even as a very experienced meditator, you heard Roseanne has that experience. I have this experience. And so these are some things that we can help, because also when you're moving and just walking gently, I'm not talking about something that's really athletic and you're going on this huge hike, the steep hike. I'm talking about just walking around gently breathing and having this experience for yourself, because you're out moving the body. The mind starts to release a little bit as well sometimes if you move the body, and thus we come back full circle to the yoga, which can also help. So thank you so much for sharing those pieces, Roseanne, because it really does drive home some of the examples, and that, look, we're just all here. And I almost feel like, well, even though, I have been practicing yoga since I've been 5, I still feel like I'm a beginner. There's more that I can learn. There's more that I can try. There's more that I can breathe. There's just something somebody might share in a space. Oh, I'm going to try that. Or, yes, I'm going to change my perspective on that. So there is never a limitation, everybody, on where we are at the moment. And it's never too late to start or to try something as well. If you haven't tried meditation, you could be 80 years old. The late Bob Proctor used to say that he is never going to stop learning until his days are over. And he did. And many people are the same of that mindset. They're constantly learning and trying new things. Whether you're trying a new recipe, whether you're trying new sport, if you're open to the idea, you could just try it. Doesn't mean you have to commit to it. Doesn't mean you have to like it. Also, the other thing is just be patient with that. I loved what you said, Roseanne, about just giving yourself some patience, especially when you try something new. And I remember, look, there's been so many people that have tried yoga, and even some people that I've coached privately, and they said, I just thought I was going to just like float off into the ethos, and I was just going to be so zenned out that, I would just never have any more stress. Well, they did feel great on the day, and they wrote out the rest of the day from the morning practice. And then the next day they woke up and they felt the same, like, oh, I've got to do this, and I've got to drive the kids here, and I've got to do that. And I said, well, then it's time to go and do another meditation, right? It's time to top it up. It's never going to just, and you may be surprised. It's going to vary. Sometimes if you do a meditation, it might last a bit longer than another. But then you've also got to take into account what is happening in your life, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of these things, all of these aspects, right? So let's be clear, and if you are starting to set your expectations at a point that is real, that even if I practice this every single day for months, there's going to be still some moments that, wow, this felt like I just done it the first time, which is almost a disaster, or I felt nothing. Even if you feel nothing from a meditation, let me assure you that something is working very, very deeply at a subconscious level, okay? Because your subconscious never stops working. And in fact, when we are doing a meditation, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Success Minded and Roseanne, on this. We are actually sort of having a little wrestle with our subconscious, because our subconscious is just going to do the usual repetition of, okay, well, you slept in, you're a bit lazy today, whatever it is. And it's sort of playing a record in the background. And that's going to happen. But what happens is when you can really tune in and focus and be very focused, it's almost as if that's going to go lower in the playback or in the repeat. It's like, oh, I could barely hear that today. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just going to focus on my yoga. So we can have those moments where there is that peacefulness, there is that clarity in the moment. Roseanne, what are your thoughts on this idea?
Yeah, you touched on so many things there. I just wanted to say about the meditation, about your walk in nature and meditating. And I love that, because there are so many paths. At the end of the day, if whatever the goal is, if it's enlightenment, there's so many different paths to get there. So if it's a walk in nature, or if it is a guided meditation, I know that I've tried so many different things, from Deepak Chopra to Wayne Dyer, and different types of meditation. And whatever it is that is leading you on your path to get to your destination, just do it and start small. And if it's that walk in nature, like you were speaking about, just go for it. You'll feel it, and just continue with that. So yeah, that was definitely great. I love that. And the subconscious mind is always working. It is always, always there. And it will work for you or against you. And it can be a big struggle. And meditation, it brings certain things to light. And it's very powerful. What you were saying is very powerful. And it is true. And that's what I was saying before. There are times where you're meditating, and there are certain things that just are just right there. And you really want to get rid of it and avoid it and not see it, but you can't. And it's there for a reason. And I agree with you. It brings things to the surface, and it is incredible. And the power of meditation is incredible. It could change your life if you just start and go on your path.
Thanks so much, Roseanne. Success Minded, love you to chime in at this point.
Yeah, so many gems you dropped in there, especially, how people overestimate what Zen feels like. Like, I'm not saying that I've experienced Zen, but I know for a certain fact that it's not something that you've seen in the movies. Right? In the movies, like they hype everything up. It is like, oh, you're in a Zen moment, everything, birds are chirping, and you're suddenly transported from interior of a city to a jungle somewhere, and you're sitting there in a forest on a rock with a river alongside, and there are no bugs in this forest for some reason, and the a tiger is not watching you from a distance, and but that's not Zen. That's just those are just movies that are designed to sell you meditation courses. Okay, businesses are sponsoring these kind of movies. Just wanted to put it out there. And Zen is not something abstract. From what I know, it's not something abstract. It's something human. It's something that you might have even experienced in life. It is not something abstract, but somewhere it is getting to that point again, that peaceful moment again of, well, of peace, of happiness, of just staying still, just being aware. Maybe that's what Zen is, in my opinion. It's not, a magical, you're the protagonist of Limitless suddenly, and you can you can learn Chinese in 10 seconds. And it's not like that. And I think most people are overestimated, and it's great that you put it up and made people aware that well, things don't happen like that in your world. There's no magic here. And another thing you guys both mentioned is taking it slow and taking the first steps. Roseanne mentioned, even if your first meditation is 3 minutes, mine was actually like 5 seconds. I was doing guided meditation, yet still I found my mind floating around with thoughts. And I just want to tell you that that's okay. Even if it's 2 seconds, 3 seconds, it's okay. You're not used to this. And especially if you're young right now, like me, you've grown up with phones. And our attention, our focus is always, we have trained our minds to always focus on our phones, one app to the next, one notification to the next, one tweet to the next, one Instagram post to the next. And it's very hard to then go back to a position where you can be aware again, you can be still again, you can consciously listen to things again, consciously observe things again. It's very hard. So don't beat yourself over it, right? Your mind is not used to it, but it will get used to it. If you keep pushing yourself, you will become better. Right? It's something that I've noticed with my workouts, where initially I did not even have a proper push-up form. I was learning push-ups. Could not do push-ups. I did not have a proper push-up form. Right? I was doing it all wrong. But 2 years into it, I suddenly realized I did not even notice my push-up format. It had automatically improved. It was still not the best, but it had improved. Meditation is something like that, especially when it comes to your subconscious. You don't realize if it's 1% better, right? If it's maybe you see there's a dog in your neighborhood, right? It has grown 1% in a day. You won't even notice. Another person the next day, you won't notice. Another person the next day, you won't notice. But look at that dog in 2 years, you won't even recognize it's the same dog. That's the power of increments. And again, another thing I guess that comes along with anything, meditation, fitness, whatever you want to learn, whether it's piano, learning to drive, is a learning curve where initially the progress is really fast, and eventually it slows down and down. And that's why people say things are easy to learn, hard to master. It takes a lifetime to master things. And these Zen teachers, these yogis, they're usually, if you see, they're usually pretty old, right? They're pretty experienced in life. And that's because they've been meditating for so long. They've been practicing these things for so long. Initially, their progress was also really fast, I guess. But eventually, there came a point where it became slower and slower and slower and slower until they hit mastery. But now 40 years had passed. and they didn't even know because they were focused on it. I'm just telling you this because that's the process. I don't want you to go that route. Even Buddha, after finding enlightenment, he said he preached the path of balance more than the path of extremes. Like I said in the very beginning, or maybe somewhere in the middle, Buddha sacrificed his health to find enlightenment. And then he doesn't recommend anyone go down that route, right? So there's always that balance. I'm not telling you to become a yogi. I'm not telling you to sacrifice yourself for finding enlightenment. I'm just telling you to become better, right? If you do decide later in life that you want to go down that route, that you've come along a long way, that's okay. But I feel like it's good to stay in that balance. It's good to stay. It's good to learn a lot of things. It's good to, have different aspects of your life. Like the highest achievers, they're known for their work. Yes, Albert Einstein is known for his scientific work. But if you look at his life, his family life was totally wrecked. It was very bad. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you can read it up. It's available everywhere. His family life wasn't that great. And that's the thing with many people, the many very successful people, they have achieved mastery, beyond mastery. They were the trendsetters of their time. Steve Jobs even Steve Jobs didn't have a very good family life, or some aspect of your life struggles if you're pushing yourself too hard in one direction. That is why balance is very important. And if you want to go that extreme route, again, up to you. So those are some of my thoughts and great points you'll be sharing. Really, I've been really enlightened. I'm learning so much listening from you, Indra and Roseanne. And I don't know, you say you're not experts, but to me, both of you guys seem like yogis. Just putting it out there now. 10 years since the age of 5, Indra, I call it a yogi. I would also recommend, this is an idea I'm throwing it out there. Since you do these meditation videos and you do guided meditation, do you think it would be a good time for our audience to also learn from you live? Can you do a live meditation session if you want?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Success Mind, I'd be happy to do that. I just wanted to give a shout out to also one of our dear friends, Inner Practitioner. Thank you so much for always being so supportive in the space. We really appreciate you. And I'm a lot of the time we know and understand that you're working. But if you would love to come up and share some thoughts about meditation, we'd love to hear them. You know that you're always welcome to request and come up. I did want to say something about the meditation journey. And this is something I've really been thinking about when a lot of people ask me, and I do receive a lot of DMs. So there's a couple of you also in here who have sent me DMs before about this topic. And the most important thing, I think, that meditation is about a relationship with yourself. It's about getting to know you. It's about being able to go deep within yourself. It's about connecting to yourself on every single level, the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, the deep levels that we have, the intellectual. When we meditate, we combine all of those. And it's absolutely normal as humans to have a little battle between the different areas of ourselves. But the main thing is that we get to know ourselves. We get to understand stillness from within us, stillness from the external, and just to allow and accept whatever is during that time of meditation. For some people, there's different words that you can use. It could be mindfulness. It could be walking as meditation to some people. Simply sitting and breathing, not even organized breath, could be meditation. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but I do encourage you to try the different types of meditation. And that's really where the benefit is going to be for you to find that type of meditation that resonates with you. Again, a lot of people, why I do the guided meditations is because initially I just did one, which was the stress meditation on my YouTube channel. And I had so many requests for different types of meditations. Your hands up. Success minded, over to you. Chime in.
Yeah, I just put a poll up there in a nest. If you want Indra to do a live meditation session here, you can put your vote there. And if we get, it's a democracy. If we get a majority of answers to be yes, we might do one. So it's just for 8 minutes, before the space ends. If you want it, say yes. If you don't want it, say no, and we will respect whatever you say. Back to you, Indra.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't want to do a meditation and everybody just jumps out of the space. I'm out of here. So we want it to be like a live meditation experience if you'd like it. And it's not going to be too long either, just a couple of minutes to give you a idea of what it would feel like, because all the energy in the room, we're all here together. So we would all have this energy coming together with the meditation. Roseanne, I see that you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that everyone votes yes, because I really would love a guided meditation with you right now.
Sure. Okay, so everybody, I hope you're jumping into the poll up there that Success Minded has. It's also on his page as well as up in the nest. And we shall see in the next couple of moments how that goes with the votes. Because, yes, you can have a live experience. And it is different to having you can go to my YouTube page at any time and experience it there. But again, the difference will be that everybody here is in the space. And so we're having this live experience together. And that's the experience of all the energy here that everybody has. We're all kind of experiencing the meditation together. And that's also the fun part about it. The other thing is also another suggestion that I gave some friends who were looking to meditate was to form an alliance with a meditation buddy. So even though they're in different places, they were playing my meditations on YouTube and they were doing them at the same time so that they were virtually accountable to doing this new activity. Often when we're doing a new thing and when we're there's all this uncertainty, particularly with meditation, because, okay, a lot of people think it's a little bit woo-woo. Maybe it is, but it is out there. Maybe you need a buddy to help you to stay on path, help you to stay on track, even though meditation is a very personal experience, not like playing a sport. It's going to be different from you. It's going to be different for your friend. But it might be a way of, even if you text each other and say, hey, are we going to both do our meditation at 7:00 this evening or in the morning? And having that kind of support sometimes is really good as well. So some of the things about meditation that I really love about meditation is that you don't need any special equipment. I mean, apart from if you're going to play a video with a guided meditation or some music, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of fancy equipment. It's really about you. And even depending on the type of meditation, you could just sit comfortably somewhere and you can make it even an experience. You can surround yourselves with plants, light a candle. I mean, you could really just create any experience that you want for yourself to make it relaxing. You can even light a whole lot of candles. You can light some incense for fragrance or some burning oils. I mean, create what you want, or just go really simple. You're just going to sit on the floor and experience it. and just breathe. I mean, meditation can be exactly what you want. And maybe sometimes you like variety, so you're going to change it up. But the main thing is that I find is I schedule it into my day. Like I have a time where I'm going to meditate. And I 100% most of the time, I'm going to say 99%, I will aim to really make that happen. Or I will sacrifice something else. Like, okay, I'm not going to read my book today, but I'm going to meditate. Okay, because we all have to be flexible within our lives and our schedules. But so choose a time and set a limit on it. Just say, I'm going to just commit for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes or the duration of this video. And pay attention to you. That's the most important thing. Bring your attention, your awareness to yourself and focus on you. And again, choose somewhere that's comfortable. If it's more comfortable for you to be sitting on a chair, keeping your spine upright, then do that. Or sit comfortably on the lounge and prop yourself up with pillows so that you feel you're still in alignment, you're straight. Cross your legs so it's comfortable, if that's comfortable for you, but find a way, or maybe elevate your legs. Maybe sitting upright with your spine, with your legs, flat is more relaxing, more comfortable. So find what works for you. And then it's always about your breath as well. And it doesn't always have to be a forced breath. Sometimes just having a natural breath can be the biggest gift that you can give yourself, but you bring your awareness to that breath. Hey, warm welcome to Inner Practitioner. It's always such a pleasure to have you here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on our topic today, meditation.
Hi, Indra. Hi, Success Minded. Hi, everyone. I'm not really a person who does meditation a lot. I'm just a beginner, but I can share my experiences through what I've done. I've meditated maybe less than 100 times in my life. My teacher just told me the method just to sit cross-legged and make sure my back is straight, my shoulders naturally down and comfortable, and just to observe my breath. So I had a little app on my phone, so I set it to 2 minutes. And I tried to do that. I soon found myself following my chain of thoughts, and I forget to observe my breathing. Or I get trapped in some feelings, or I started thinking about various other scenarios or fantasies in my head. So and quickly 2 minutes went away. So the next day I tried 3 minutes, and then same thing happened. But I got a little bit better. Then I realized what the practice for me was to be aware of what my mind's doing. When I'm thinking, I follow the thoughts. Then I'm not observing my breathing. So I had to pull it back. So that's really telling me that I have to be aware. So it's a practice in awareness of what my mind's doing at the moment. So I kept doing that day after day. I got up to about 30 minutes and something strange happened. What happened was that I lost a sense of my body, and I feel like I was here and everywhere. And then what happened was there's a deep sense of fear that came from within, and I got scared, and I just got out of it. But there was a benefit. What I found out was that whenever I naturally get into that, once I exit it, my body felt really soft and natural. Then I realized, because I was doing the meditation and got into that natural thing, my body actually was able to release a lot of stress. So that part I really, really liked. And I realized what that fear was. For me, that fear was my ego was afraid that it was going to disappear. It doesn't want to stay in there for too long. And also another experience I had was that, okay, observing my breath. What does that mean? And I find myself doing this. I imagine I'm breathing in my head, and I observe that imagination of breathing. And I say, oh, no, I can't do that. That's a trap. So I started asking, what does it mean when it says I have to observe my breath? Then I realize it's actually the sensation in my nose as the air comes through and when it comes out. Because there's only now. Time is a construct. So it's the only thing that's real now is that sensation as it happens. So I try to follow that sensation. So I change my practice because I want to spend time on doing something real, not imagination or the traps in my mind. So I kept doing that, and I found out I was able to get into that state a lot easier. But then sometimes I forget again. Then this is what I do. I don't know if this works for other people. Sometimes I will temporarily stop the meditation and I'll put my finger on top of my nose so I feel it, and I'll focus on that point. Then I restart it again, and that really helped. This is what I want to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Inner Practitioner, for sharing your journey with meditation. Loved hearing it. And also something that you shared is that it's a process, most importantly, that you are going through a process of learning and being in tune with yourself, and then sort of making those adjustments, like even the point where at the end where you talked about touching your nose. So that gives you another point of focus, maybe something different than your breath, but a kind of a switch, a tweak. And sometimes our subconscious mind just needs that, right? A little bit of variety. So that's a change just, to just doing the breath work. Thank you so much for sharing. A success-minded, chime in, please.
Yeah, I actually had a question because what you described was a bit of a process for me as well, because I'm not a experienced meditator, right? I only started, as I taught in space earlier, only started like a few months ago, not even a year ago. And what you described is so true, where you experience that fear for no reason, apparently, that the fear that comes from within. Were you able to get past it, practitioner?
No, I never tried. And I told myself that I'm lazy. I don't want to do it. But then recently again, that my inner self kept telling me to do it. So I may start again soon.
Interesting. Yeah. I still kept on doing. Well, it was scary. I started to believe, like, what is wrong with me? What is even going on? But I guess you're right. It's just the ego thing, right? Or for me, it was, well, so maybe it was some inherent fear that I had kept hiding. But because I kept meditating, there came a point where I did not feel that fear anymore. So, yeah, just something I related to. That's why I asked. And it's very important that we share our journeys, because a lot of teachers on the internet, they forget how they started. So they forget these things even happen. They're so well ahead. They are so well into so many years into this that they forget that these things might have happened to them. And it's only via my own practice that I came to know that these things even exist. And then I searched online. Then there are beginners that were talking about this in communities and discussions. So thank you so much for sharing it. And I hope this also relates to someone else, and they can feel that they're not doing something wrong. Maybe it's just a part of the process. Who knows? So thank you so much. Roseanne has her hand up. So to you, Roseanne.
Yeah, I wanted to say that you mentioned that a lot of us that have been practicing for a while, we forget that. And for myself, that is true. When inner practitioner was speaking, all of a sudden it brought me back, and I'm like, that's true. One of the first feelings that I felt when I started meditation was fear. There were a lot of uncomfortable feelings when I first started. There's fear of the unknown. I believe what inner practitioner said, also the ego, not knowing what to expect. I didn't have anyone around me at all that was practicing meditation. So back to what Indra was saying, I think that that's such a fantastic suggestion to say, have a meditation partner, a buddy that you do the YouTube videos together. And not only for accountability, but also to speak about this experience. Because when you first start, you feel that fear, you feel that uncertainty, you don't know what's really going on. And success minded, like you said, right? In the beginning, it's like these small steps, but then after so much time, you start seeing that big picture. Initially, though, that's really hard to see, and there's a lot of different things going on in our lives. And then with the fear, when you have that person, when you have someone that you speak to about it that's going through the same thing, even regardless of accountability, which is so important, you just have someone to share that with and say, hey, this is what happened to me. And it might be an accountability partner, or it might be in a space like Indra's. But it's just so important that you have someone to share that with. I definitely didn't. And that's why it's so nice to be here in a group that you're able to say, hey, yeah, that did happen. And I was really fearful. And also, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't start levitating, after 5 minutes. So it is important to have. I just wanted to touch on that.
Thanks so much. Inner practitioner, Roseanne, and Success Minded. And going back to what you were sharing, inner practitioner, that spurred a lot of discussion here. Thank you so much. Okay, so you mentioned about the fear and things. And I also think the other thing is with fear is, okay, in our day-to-day lives, we have so much control over a lot of things that we know about, right, ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to eat now. I'm going to sleep now. I'm going to do my work now. There are all these things that we can control. I'm going to work out. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to do my yoga. Whatever the thing is, when we go and meditate, there's a lot that we have to surrender to. And that's what's happening is when there's this little fight, and you mentioned with the ego or with our subconscious mind, with our the conscious being that's within us, at those deeper levels, there's a struggle going on. And maybe sometimes it might feel like more of a wrestling match, in fact, than actually just an internal struggle. Okay, who's going to win today? And this is part of the process. So we do have to surrender. It's a little bit like, I don't know if anybody knows the Argentine tango, but as a dancer of the Argentine tango, you actually have to surrender to your partner in order for them to lead, right? And in order for it to be this beautiful thing that's on the dance floor. The same experience, if you can think of the tango and all of its beauty, the same thing goes towards when you meditate. You, at some point, have to surrender to the process. And you have to allow your ego to surrender, and this doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen, oh, okay, well, I did it yesterday and why isn't it happening today, and there's going to be so many variations to that. But there is this surrender process where you have to trust the process, trust the meditation, trust your breath, trust yourself, whatever the process is. I'm just going to trust this process. And there's a time limit on this, right? So it's only going to be for the 10 or 20 minutes or whatever that time period is, maybe in some cases 5 minutes, that you're going to trust the process. So now that you've heard some of these examples, if you haven't ever tried meditation before, or if you are having this issue of struggling, then you know that it's something within yourself, and sometimes it comes out in the shape of fear, and it's completely normal. Because also, particularly if we're going to close our eyes and, we're listening to music or we're sitting in silence, being with yourself and with your breath can be a scary place sometimes, because we don't know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that you are going to go deeper each time you experience this, and you are going to feel peace and find peace. And there are moments where you can really connect to peaceful moments within yourself that's deep. And I think that's the real beauty of meditation, especially when you've had a very busy or stressful day. And you've noticed at the end of the day, okay, I'm going to go allocate this time to a meditation. After you finish the meditation, if you can just remove yourself from the judgment of it, well, wow, I was distracted in the first 5 minutes or the first couple of minutes. If you just concentrate on how do I feel afterwards. And it's those times where you feel like, oh, wow, I feel so much better. I'm not going to worry about the distraction that happened during the meditation. I'm going to connect to the feelings that I have and just ignore those thoughts, of the ego or yourself saying, well, try to beat you up and say, you should have been more focused. You should have been, breathing deeper or whatever it was. If you just ignore all those judgments, all those things, and you just take how you feel at the end of the meditation, hopefully that's going to be the gift to you of meditation. Success-minded, how are we going with the poll there? Let me know if I'll leave it up to you, and Roseanne, you guys can let me know if you'd like me to do a short guided meditation. I'm not going to make it too long because everybody does have to eat lunch and get back to work and everything else.
Yeah, the poll says 100% yes, and it has ended.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody who voted. I think some emojis, and thank you so much. All right. So we're going to do a guided meditation. I'm just going to find some of my original meditation music that was created for the Positivity Vibe Tribe by our very talented composer, Jay Clarence is his name. And all right. And then I'm going to choose some music, and what I'd love you all to do is to, whether you're sitting, standing, whatever you're doing, just hop up from your chairs for a moment and just kind of relax a little bit and sit back down and get comfortable again. We're going to start afresh. And Success Minder, can you let me know if the music level is good?
Yeah, it's pretty good, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so close your eyes. Just gently. Close your eyes very, very gently. And just kind of relax, but I want you to keep your spine straight, because our energy needs to be flowing. So keeping your mouth closed, I want you to just notice your breath, your natural breath, the way your breath flows in through your nose, travels into your tummy, into your belly, and then comes back up almost trace it. Just with your own natural rhythm. Nothing forced. Simply flow with your breath. That's it. Breathe gently and deeply. In from your nose, into your stomach cavity, and gently back out. You're finding your natural flow of your breath and observing your breath as it flows gently in and then releasing back out through your nose. With each breath, you are feeling more and more relaxed. Your entire being is now feeling relaxed. Each breath is rejuvenating you. Each breath is recharging your soul, your being. I want you to think about one or two things in your life in this moment that is causing you some sort of discomfort or stress. Think about the two items. Continue to breathe gently at your own pace. In through your nose, into your stomach cavity deeply, and back out through your nose. What are those things that are causing you stress? Take the first one now. Place it in front of you, keeping your eyes closed. It's just going to float in front of you like a cloud. It's going to hover a little bit. This is the number one thing that is causing you stress. I want you to take a very deep breath into your stomach for a count of 5. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. Hold your breath in your stomach. And on the exhale, I want you to shoot it out of your mouth. Exhale. That's it. Let it go of it. One more time. We're going to do that again. Breathe in to your stomach from your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And hold it there. Hold. Hold. When I say release, you're going to release it through your mouth. One forced breath. Let's go. Release. That's it. The first one is released. The first stress. Now let's go to the second one. What's the second thing in your life that's causing you stress? Whatever it is, put it in front of you, in a little floaty cloud in front of you. Keep your eyes closed. Let's do this again. It's hovering in front of you. You see what the number 2 issue is. Better breathe in on a count of 5. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it in your stomach. Hold. And when I say release, force the breath out of your mouth. Hold. Release. Okay. Let's try it again. Let's go again and breathe in through the nose for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it in your stomach. I want you to hold that breath until I say release, and then force that breath out. Out through the mouth when I say release now. Okay. So with each release of both those items, of those clouds, you just push those a little bit further so you get some space. Okay. So each time you do a meditation, it helps to create a little bit more space and breathe area for you. You need some me time. You deserve this space that you've just created for yourself. This release of stress from the body. It's just giving you a little relaxation. I want you to feel the lightness in your body as you just pushed those 2 major things away. After this meditation, whenever that time is, when you're ready to look at those life struggles, those issues, those challenges, you're going to be able to come to them with clarity. You're going to be able to problem solve them because you have given yourself a mental break, a space. You can create this space in time for yourself at any moment. You choose a meditation. When you choose to trust the process, trust you and trust your breath. I believe in you. I believe in your dreams. I believe that you deeply believe in yourself. Take this feeling into your day, all night. Take this with you, this feeling of lightness, this feeling of relaxation that you deserve. Take this into your day. Take this into your life. Open your heart to the gift of relaxation. Open your heart to the lightness, to the love that you have deep inside you. Thank you for going on this meditation, this life journey in the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Sending you so much love, light, and blessings.